Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. Sorry for the delay this week. We had some things going on, but we are back. So we are going to do a Michigan recap. I know we're way late to the party, but we have not got to talk about it yet on the show together. So we are going to start with a quick Michigan recap and then kind of just roll right into that Temple matchup we got on Saturday. So I guess without anything else to say, who wants to start off the Michigan recap? Thoughts?
Obviously a great game. It's always good to come out with a win against another blue blood. I don't know how people feel about Michigan, but another big program, at the very least, someone that is a talked about program in the Big Ten, someone that a team that won a national championship not that long ago. I mean, there's a lot of pluses there. I think we did a really good job of keeping their run game in check outside of that huge run. They were held to like less than 3 yards to carry, I think, or somewhere around that 3 yard mark, which for that team, I don't think is going to be something that happens often. Maybe when they play Ohio State, but even still, that game every year makes no sense. Somehow it's close because Ohio State decides to play Michigan's game and just run the ball. That's just dumb. Hopefully, they take a note from what Oklahoma did. They want to try to win one for the first time in like a decade. Um, for the passing game, looked pretty good. I think our run game is still a bit of a question mark. So hopefully there's a get right spot here for the Temple game. Jade Knott still not playing very much. Tory Blaylock still looks to be that guy for the running backs. Javante Barnes, I think, probably played the best out of the three that participated in the game, but still not very good. So that needs to get worked on because John Mateer, I mean, been beat like a dead horse at this point, but John Mateer running the ball 19 times through the schedule that we have coming up is just not a good idea. We're going to be coming up against some big defensive linemen. I mean, Dylan Stewart going to probably try to get a couple of licks in. Colin Simmons isn't going to be easy to run against. And those are back-to-back games. Who else? I'm sure we've got some other big defensive linemen. I mean, the LSU front looks pretty good. Their defense overall has been really good. I know that's at the end of the year, but there is going to be a lot of teams where you don't want him to be the primary ball carrier. So hopefully there's opportunities over the next couple of games. Auburn is going to be the next big one, and hopefully we have a more established run game. There's where John Mateer isn't taking too many hits. I think their defense kind of stinks, and we'll talk about it more in a couple of weeks, but that's my takeaways from that Michigan game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the atmosphere was electric. It was an amazing game. I think it's easy to say Oklahoma kind of just dominated. I mean, from the very beginning of the game, like went down, scored. Our defense played amazing. I think they played kind of like lights out. And like you said, like John Mateer running the ball. I think there were a total of like 40 carries, and John Mateer had 19 of those. So that's, I mean, it's kind of insane. Like he was our you talked about all the running backs host, but like John Mateer had 19 carries, and I think he had 74 rushing yards. He also had 270 passing yards. So like you talked about throughout our kind of gauntlet of a season, like you don't need him running the ball all season long the way he did in this one game. But I don't think that we have a ton to worry about because we do have. I mean, you said like you said, Jade, not like he hasn't. We obviously haven't seen his potential yet, but we know he does have that potential. So that'll be cool to see along the line, like how that kind of plays out. But knowing that we have John Mateer who can do that, he's a kind of a dual threat quarterback, but he can also pass really well, and he has receivers there to pass to, which is like we saw receivers and Jaron Kanak, a tight end, like. That guy is a great tight end. He's going to be so fun to watch all season long. Like this game was just fun to watch. Like winning is always fun, but like winning in a dominating fashion where your offense and defense are both playing like kind of amazing. It's just fun, and it was very fun to be there. And I think you guys can both say like we all woke up Sunday morning without voices because we're screaming so loud the entire game. So I don't know. I think it was a fun game to watch, and I guess we'll see what Michigan turns out to be. I really hope they win double digit, have it like a double digit win season. We'll see. But yeah, no, it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot better college game day experience than our last one, where we lost to good old Tennessee. That was not as fun as beating Michigan was. I just think you kind of alluded to it, Emily and Hose. I agree with both of you guys. John Mateer running the ball 19 times, too much. But on the other side of that note, like, after Illinois State, the doubters, the haters, whatever, they could still be out there like, well, yeah, John Mateer, he shredded Illinois State. He's supposed to shred Illinois State. He came from Washington State. Can he play against the big boys? I think he shut up a little bit of that noise by having a very good game against Michigan, both on the ground and in the air. He really had one bad play the whole game where he had an overthrow on Will Huggins, ended up being intercepted. But, I mean, outside of that, I think he was pretty perfect. I think Oklahoma started the game awesome with that opening drive touchdown. Perfect. They closed out the first half awesome with another touchdown. And then, when it's time to like really win it and close it out, because throughout everything, because I do agree that OU dominated that game, we kept Michigan in the game by allowing that big run play. They hit a big pass. They were in the game still, and to put it out of reach with that 8 or 9 minute drive and that 3rd down and 7 play call to Javante Barnes on the screen was just beautiful. That drive right there was really cool to see. Just a true blue, just put the game away drive, and Oklahoma had it when they needed to. Beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing to see. And I mean, I agree. I think Oklahoma left a lot of points on the board. If Jaron Kanak can come down with that flea flicker type play in the end zone there, it's a 3-score game. So, I mean, Oklahoma with the muff punt, with the one drive where the officials kept the Michigan drive going with the roughing the punter and then a holding on a 1-yard run, which I didn't know was possible. Like, there was just things happening on the drive that kept Michigan going. They got a field goal, I think, on that drive. All things considered, Oklahoma didn't play that great of a game. Still won the game by 2 scores. Could have been a lot uglier. So, I mean, I agree. I think that the vibes are high, the energy's high. Like we might have a good football team. I mean, there's a lot of season left. There's still 10 games to be played, but that was a very good takeaway, a positive game for us for sure.
I think too, like we kind of almost went from like one end to the other of like people saying, "Oh, Oklahoma, like what are they going to be? They sucked last year." To now, it's like I feel like we woke up Sunday morning to everybody talking about John Mateer and going on this Heisman run, and Oklahoma's the real deal, which is great. That's awesome when the whole world's talking about how good your team is. That's so fun. But it's also like we have this crazy schedule ahead, and everyone knows that. Everyone's talking about that. I think I saw that our game was like the #1 watch game. I think it had like 9.7 million viewers, and because everyone knew it was going to be a big game. But like to walk out there and do what they did and do it so well was awesome to watch. But like you said, like it really flipped the switch of like everybody's talking about it now. Everybody is like John Mateer's the guy. So just kind of
Matt Poison.
On that was definitely a cool game to go to. I don't know if you guys have rewatched the game the next day between the middle of the day slate of NFL games and Sunday Night Football. I rewatched the entire thing, the TV copy. I didn't know there were fireworks going on. It was so loud in there. I didn't know there were fireworks. And they kept showing the fireworks after big plays and touchdowns. I was like, holy shit, I don't even remember seeing smoke, let alone the actual firework.
I just think just like the defense, which we knew the defense was going to be good, but to see them I think the same thing as you, kind of going back and watching on TV where you see the game just a lot better. Like the way that our defense swarmed to the ball, like on almost every single tackle, is awesome to see. Like that's team football. That's what it should look like. And I mean, it was all around. It was a pretty strong performance. I mean, I think the defense, you got to give them an A. They hit 3 plays on us. It was a pass play where, honestly, Spears Jennings is in great coverage. We just got beat on that one. We had a blown assignment on the 75-yard run. Outside of that, defense kind of dominated, and Kendall Daniels tried to kill somebody. And have you guys seen the clip of Justice Haynes getting up after that hit? And he looks pretty pissed, and I don't even blame him because the guy who was supposed to block was like, nah, you're good.
He went out on a wheel route or something. But the defense too isn't even fully healthy. Like Kendall Dolby still hasn't touched the field yet. Gentry Williams is, I guess, a little bit banged up. Might be a slight hamstring issue, I guess, something towards the 4th quarter. I don't even remember that happened, to be honest with you. That's one of those things you catch more on the TV copy than when you're in the game.
Eli
What else is
Bowen.
missing on that? Eli Bowen still hasn't touched the field. Like, there's still plenty of people on the defense that could make it better, especially in the secondary. Uh, the offense, I think, still needs a bit of improvement because, like you said, Brandon, they didn't have perfect drives every single time. Special teams, I think, was the killer because if you don't have that roughing the punter, you are in prime field position. You're probably somewhere, if not at the 50, around the 40-yard line. You don't have very much field to drive to get a score. The muff punt, like, can't do that. You got to call for a catch. He was pinned towards their end zone and you try to return it. I get it because you want to make an aggressive play, but also like some field awareness there. Just call a fair catch, secure it, and get your offense out there at like the 45. There's some of those things that just need to get cleaned up. And Brent Venables talked about it in his press conference. Like the next day, they showed him film. Like Samuel Masigo, you never did this in practice. I don't know where this came from, but don't do that shit again. And same thing with Isaiah. Like you know how to catch a ball because that wasn't the first time he tried to just hands catch a punt. There was a punt. I think the punt right before that he caught. He pinned against the ground because he was trying to do the same like fancy catch out wide, and he just missed it. That one he was able to secure on the ground though. This one, not so much. So just got to get back to basics with special teams to not make those pivotal mistakes because Michigan didn't really capitalize, but I mean, Texas is struggling. I think they would at least capitalize and get points on every mistake Oklahoma would have made there.
I think just a couple more things before we move on, and I'll kick to Emily too and let her wrap up too. But I think we would be doing a disservice to the game if we didn't talk a little bit about Owen Heineke and just like his story being an Ohio State college lacrosse player and entered the transfer portal. And dude was electric on Saturday, making plays all over the place. That was awesome. And I think like the moment where like the switch flip for me, I guess, watching the game is, last year how bad it was and everything, but like that 3rd and 7 play, like around midfield where they've got an edge blitz or a corner blitz or something, a safety blitz, and he's untouched. And where John Mateer makes him miss, gets out of the pocket and throws the ball to Isaiah on the sideline. That's some shit. Like we didn't have that last year. We haven't had that in a while. And I was like, damn. It almost gives you the feeling like as long as we have this guy and he's healthy and he's playing well, you got a chance. And that's really all you can ask for.
No, it reminds me of like 2016, 2017 when it was like when Baker was on the field, you knew something good was going to happen. I feel like those years you didn't even worry about it. It was like, okay, Baker's on the field, we're good. I feel like it's kind of that same vibe with John Mateer. It's like something good's going to happen. I know it. Like I just trust it. And I don't think we've had that in a while, especially last year where it was like our quarterback was a little questionable. Our multiple quarterbacks were a little questionable. And it's like every time the offense stuff is on the field, you're like a little bit stressed out about it. But especially, and I was going to say, especially in week 2, like we're kind of lucky to play a good team week 2, where a lot of people are playing cupcakes the first couple weeks, which like luckily our schedule worked out that way. And because, these games are scheduled so far in advance, and luckily we're actually good this year because I would have hated to play Michigan last year. But I think it's nice to have like you guys are saying with the special teams issues and things like that, like to kind of work those things out against like a legit blue blood program, like good team before walking into the rest of our schedule, because again, our schedule is tough and we need that practice. I know we have Temple coming up next week, and then we start the week after we have Auburn. So it's like, and we almost get all the kinks out in these first couple weeks and like actually play a really good, decent program, and then walk into the rest of the schedule and be like with confidence and be like, we got this.
Yeah, I like that. Like it's like a ramp up period because it's every other week. We started with Illinois State, Michigan. We'll get Temple, then Auburn, bye week Kent State, then Texas, and that's really when there's no more breaks, unless someone decides to be asked between now and our gauntlet of games.
Always a chance. We're only 2
There's
days.
always that chance.
You guys are watching this video now. It's Friday. That means tomorrow we are playing Temple. Game 3 of the season. Let's get to 3-0. I think that's the big takeaway of this game. I don't know a whole lot about Temple. I saw their graphic, obviously, and I think we're going to talk about that as a group here. But I thought it was pretty wild for them to put Baker Mayfield's mugshot just for some reason.
I respect it.
In there. I mean, it's a funny post. I don't hate it. If I was a Temple fan, I would love it. Like it is funny. It's good and stuff. But I feel like when you're going into a game as a 23.5, 24-point favorite, whatever the line is right now, just to kind of poke the bear a little bit more doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I hope Oklahoma hangs 70 on them, and we're seeing on Twitter do it for Baker and stuff, and it's kind of funny. I also thought it was kind of funny to see the OU fans like come back at that post with the Bill Cosby mugshot. Was it Cosby? Yeah, Bill Cosby mugshot. So it's like we're fighting back there with they have mugshots of their own, but I hope it goes as it did last year. We beat them 48-3 or 51-3 something last year. I hope it's a similar game. I think Temple's a little bit better. I saw their head coach talking on the Oklahoma breakdown saying like he doesn't want his team to be real, like he wants them to be unrealistic, which I thought was pretty cool. I think you understand that you're going to be a big time dog in this game. Kind of just say, who gives a shit? Let's go out there and just play and see what happens. I think he has all the right mentality and stuff. I just think Oklahoma is going to be too good for Temple. I hope it's the same game as last year. If everything goes to plan, ideally, I hope that we see a little bit of a Mike Hawkins in the second half. I think it'd be kind of fun to see him out there.
I mean, I hope this is a rerun of the Oregon-Oklahoma State game for our sake. I don't think that Temple is nearly that bad. They might score a couple times, towards the end of the game, but this is also a classic Oklahoma letdown spot, and it has been under Brent Venables over the last 3 years. You come off a good win, and then you find a way to fuck it up. And he even addressed that in his press conference. Going back to the Texas game, you were undefeated, and then we were undefeated, and then you just decide to implode. You throw a pick first game or your first play against Kansas, I guess he recalled in his press conference. I could have sworn we played UCF, but anyways, you play like shit.
Yeah, we escaped Central Florida, got to 7-0, then went to Lawrence, and their first touchdown was a pick six. Yeah.
I mean, you play like shit after Texas, and it was very much like you can look back and say we were, a little bit too big for our britches here. You gotta stay in the moment, execute every single game. So it's good that he's pretty aware of that fact. Like, this is very much a big win earlier in the season than that Texas win that year. Obviously, you can't get too big here. Like, new week, and I think it was David Stone that said, like, we all understand that Oklahoma team, the year that they started in the Big 12, you beat Texas and things go downhill. Like, this year they have the mentality like, we're preparing for Temple just like we prepared for Michigan. And I hope we see that same mentality on the field. I think it's easy to take an opponent like that lightly, especially when you do come off a big win. So this one is more, I know Brent Venables is going to be the story if something bad were to happen, but this one's definitely on the players. Like, you can't let Temple beat you. It's going to be cool because it's at Lincoln Financial, right? The Eagle Stadium. That'll be cool for them, but like, take that in pregame, and then once the game starts, once that clock starts running, you can't let these nerds score. You just held Michigan to 0 points in a first half. Do that to Temple. I think they almost held Illinois State scoreless. They only scored 3. So let's see if you can complete a shutout here. And let's complete a shutout.
I like the stray that Oklahoma State caught a stray there. I liked it, Hose. No, I think this team will probably hold it together only because it's so early in the season. Like, typically you have like your easy games, 3 games to start the season, and it's like, okay, you're building up to the season. There's no like high, and then you kind of, I don't want to call it a low, but like a high, and like you're so excited about the Michigan game, and then you're like, okay, it's just Temple. I have a feeling they're kind of not feeling like that, just because it's like still very early in the season. Whereas like going back to that Texas game 2 years ago, like high of like beating Texas, like we were undefeated, beat Texas, and then you're already 6 weeks into the season, and I mean, there is a lot of hype around playing Texas. There always will be, and that's kind of the beauty of college football. Like that is such a big game, and it's a fun game. And so is this last one, but I don't think it's gonna have the same effect, like post game effect, as that did. I also think this is a much better team, like just all around a much better team, and like I do think just at a baseline they can handle Temple.
Yeah, and I think going back to that hangover effect you guys are talking about, because it's real. We saw it after that Texas game, but I think the big differences here is, like you said, Emily, we were 6-0 after that Texas game. You beat Texas. They were like number 3 or 4 in the country at that time. I think after that, when you look at the rest of your schedule, and it's Central Florida, Kansas, just a schedule that you look on paper and you say Oklahoma should win every one of these games. And I think that at some point that gets to your head a little bit, and you're like, oh, we're 6-0, and then you start thinking like, we're about to play for a national championship, all this stuff, because the schedule is favorable, this and that. You just beat the number 3 team in the country. This year, we're only 2-0. There's so much football to be played left that I don't think you ride this week 2 win at quite as high as you did beating Texas. I expect the team to come out ready and hopefully, like you said, Hose and all of us, just let's go kind of dominate them again. Let's go pitch a shutout. That'd be awesome. And then, we'll be right back here on Monday recapping that a little bit and breaking down some Auburn.
On to the SEC.
Buns ass Auburn team.
That'll be a fun preview show.
Jackson Arnold is the leading SEC rusher, so
great running back. Never seen a better
running back. Jackson Arnold, generational running back Jackson Arnold.
Yep, that's a thing.
That man can run.
Yeah, he can run. Got to give him that.
We'll save that a little bit for next week, guys. But that's all I got. If you guys have anything else to finish the show up with.
Nope.
Summer sooner.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys. We will be back Monday, I think, or Tuesday. Was Tuesday the release day? Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
There you go.
Thanks for watching.